Let's all look inside his room. It's Shit in John Wayne's Room.
Welcome to another edition of Shit in John Wayne's Room. I am John Wayne from the band John Wayne is Dead. I'm also a non-extreme horror writer. The sucks of likes of Deadline and Tore to Death and Scummer and many more you can check out. But thank you for joining me for another edition of Shit in John Wayne's Room. As you know, in this segment, I take you through my office room studio, pluck a certain object and tell you the significance, tell you the story behind it. And I've started with my guitars. So this is the Guitar Chronicles of John Wayne, Shit in John Wayne's Room. But again, you can check it out every week. There'll be a new object that we will talk about. Today, we are talking about my Squire Telecaster, the Jimroot signature model. Now, if you don't know who Jimroot is, he is one of the guitar players for the band Slipknot. Also, he played in Stone Sour. He's a really great guitar player. If you don't like metal or you don't like Slipknot, that's fine. You don't have to, but you could respect his playing because it's stellar. So, as you can see, I've actually put one of my John Wayne is Dead decals right there because why not? We've got a mahogany, or no, this is a rosewood fretboard, mahogany body, which is a little bit different. They don't usually make Telecasters out of mahogany. We have two humbuckers right here in this bad boy. We got the one switch, and we only have, interestingly enough, one knob for volume and tone, which again, I like little things like that. I like the one single pickup with the one, one knob, one control. It's kind of like, it makes it easy and hard at the same time to dial your tone in, right? But there's not much to it. You just set it and forget it. That's the kind of guitar this is. I think once you get it dialed into where you want with this, you're gonna want to leave it because this guitar sounds awesome. Now, as we said, I said this was a Jimroot Squire Telecaster. If you don't know, Squire is the cheaper brand from Fender, and they're made overseas. Of course, this one was made in China, as you can see, but it does have the awesome little Jimroot signature right on there, which is very, very cool. So all gorgeous black hardware on this. I mean, talk about metal. So one thing I like about this guitar, the first and foremost thing I like about this guitar is that it's a Telecaster. I love Telecasters. I hate that this is the only Telecaster I own. I don't know what it is about them, but when I was 16, 17, first starting to play and I had my guitars, I would go over to my friend's house and his older brother played guitar. And I remember we would sit in their room and like smoke weed and listen to ska like all day, like Goldfinger and shit, all this. And he had a Telecaster in there. And I would always just pick it up while we were hanging out and just noodle on it and just play it. And I was like, I just loved it. And I would tell him every time, like, man, I love the way this Telecaster neck feels. It's just the most comfortable neck that I've ever played, still ever played. And so I always loved them. I always wanted one. I don't know why I didn't get one, but I actually probably do know why I didn't get one. Because when I was growing up at that point in time, it wasn't cool to play a Telecaster in your metal band, man. You gotta get a pointy guitar with the points and the edges and the metal. But here you have one of the most popular metal bands out there, and you've got one of your lead guitar players playing Telecasters. So Fender approached him. They made this custom model. One of the differences between the Fender made one and the Squire one and the Fender one are the pickups. And that's the only kind of unfortunate setback to this guitar. These are just passive humbuckers. That's it. I scoured to see like what brand they were or if they had a name to them. They don't seem to, that I can find. If you know what kind of pickups are in here, if they have a name, hey, drop it in the comments below. Let me know so we can check that out. In the Fender one, these are active EMG pickups, kind of like what I have in my Les Paul. If you watched the episode on my Les Paul, please go back and check that out. We talk about EMG pickups in that episode extensively. They took those out, of course. This is just like a cost-effective model, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Especially lately, like the trend has been, I would even say over the last 10 years, that it's been coming out. Like a lot of guitar players are like, you don't need the super expensive model to have a great sounding guitar and a good instrument. And a lot of times you don't. Now, I am a staunch believer in you get what you pay for, especially with instruments and tattoos. But sometimes, you know, you can get the quality out of a cheaper instrument, dial it in, and it sounds amazing, and it's comfortable as hell to play. Now, I've unfortunately never played this guitar in a live setting. Maybe I'll work it in at a show, kind of pick it up. I don't like to switch guitars a lot during a show. I think it fucks up the rhythm of things and the flow. But if you need to, you know, if there's some malfunction or string or whatever, you know, maybe I'll switch it out for this and let it ring a couple times out there. But, you know, I want to work this into live. It's such a good guitar. I have used it to record a couple things. A few years ago, I was hired to write a theme song for a podcast called The Quiet Place. So it was a very like metal screaming, like quiet place. And I played this guitar to record that. And if you go back on the channel to the original Deadline, my book Deadline, the first trailer that I did for that book, there's a song that's music playing in the background, very like, you know, cacophonous metal, it's like, and that I'm also playing this guitar on that. So I've gotten to record with this guitar, not played with it live yet. If you play with one of the Jimroot Telecasters live, hit me up in the comments, let me know how it goes, what your thoughts on this are. If you've played the Fender one versus the Squire one, if you think there's a significant difference, hey, let me know in the comments, we'll talk about it. Anyway, so how I got to finally have a Telecaster in my possession, kind of another sad story, actually, where I just make these rash decisions. I don't know. I'm crazy. Okay, so we have to go back a little bit. When I was playing in a band called Letters to Voltron, we were very proggy, heavy proggy band with very silly lyrics, right? It was funny. At least we thought it was. So we had only 3 people, drums, I played guitar and sang, and Robbie played synth guitar and synthesizer to hold down all the low end and all that kind of stuff. So as we were growing and changing, at one point I was like, you know, maybe I should try an 8-string guitar to hold down all the low end on my side, and then I would free Robbie up a little bit, and we can do this. And the guys they both thought it was an awesome idea. Like, yeah, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you should, dude. We should try that. Fuck yeah, that would be great. So I traded in a few things at the guitar store, Texas Music Emporium, little guitar shop in Houston, and I had gotten that Stephen Carpenter 8-string LTD guitar. And Stephen Carpenter is the guitarist for Deftones, which is in my top 5 favorite bands. So I love him. I love the band, and I'm like, all right, I'll get this. You know, I don't know how many people out there really just play 8-string guitars. Drop us a comment, let us know. I found it not only like the difficulty is whatever, right? It's just kind of like transposing what you know already on 6 strings, but now you have these 3 extra strings, and they're you have to tune in this kind of open A, open C tuning that's very low, or I mean, you could of course custom tune it however you want. You know, I'm talking about like I said, this neck is so easy and nice to play. That was the worst neck to play. Not only because it's like so big and you're trying to wrap around, and just it was a fine guitar, but it was going to take a lot more playing it for me to get totally used to it and totally into wanting to use it. So when I got it, I would play it for a couple of songs at the beginning, and then I'd switch back to my Charvel and finish the show, just because it was totally uncomfortable to play. It sounded great, I liked it, whatever. Now, Hulk smash cut. I'm like, I'm tired of this guitar, I don't want it anymore. I've been searching for one of these. I was hoping to get the Fender one, not the Squire, but I was on Facebook Marketplace. I put trades, I'm willing to trade for a Jimroot Telecaster, which you can put on there. Gentleman contacted me, said, I have the Squire one, it's fucking brand new, I barely played it. I want to try an 8-string, do you want to do this trade? And I was like, sure. So we met him at the Home Depot parking lot. We made the switch. I think it was worth it only because this guitar, I still get use out of and will continue to get use out of. I don't know how much use I would have gotten out of that 8-string, especially because the band folded shortly after that. There you go. So that was my Squire Jimroot Telecaster here in Shit in John Wayne's room. Thank you for joining me for another edition. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video. Please, 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 we love you so much. And join us next week for another edition of Shit in John Wayne's room. And as always, follow me on all your socials at JohnWayneIsDead. And I will see you out there. Yeah!